All right, I'm going to give it a second for you guys to get in here. We're going to look at the S&P. We have some very interesting stuff happening here, and we need to talk about this for all of you trading options so that you know for the week ahead, because there's going to be some very, very interesting stuff happening here. Drop a comment, say hello. If you're in the Discord, type your Discord username. If you found us elsewhere, just type new so that we know who you are. And we will get started. Looks like we lost a few stragglers from our disconnection from Discord. I don't know why it's doing that, where it's not letting us get everybody on the stream. But yeah, drop a comment in the chat. Say hello. Say what's up. Tell me how you're doing. Tell me how you're living. Tell me if you had a red or green day. I'd love to hear it. See where you're at and ask any questions that you have. Post them in the chat, and we'll get to them when I slow down here in just a moment. So feel free to do that. We're going to dive into it. We got some very interesting stuff happening here in the market, especially with the SPY. The S&P is looking very interesting. We're going to see a directional move either way. I don't know exactly which way, but we're going to dive into it and look at it. This is one of my first chances to really go in and analyze for the day, and I want to make sure that everybody's got that access. All right. So yeah, drop in the chat. Let me know who you are, how you're doing, how'd you trade today, red or green. I'd love to see that first, so I get an idea of what we can cover other than the SPY. We're going to go through the SPY, the QQQ. We're going to look at NVDA and Amazon, and then we're going to talk overall options market so that everyone's prepared. We covered this all last night. SPY played out exactly as we thought it would, and basically today we're sitting at a pretty critical point where we're either going one direction where we're going to rip or the other direction where we're going to sell off big time. Oops. Oops. Sorry, I just posted this in the group so they can get in on it. All right. Thank you for bumping it. How did you degenerates do today? How did you do? Red or green? Was it red or green today? Let me know. I got to see a few of your top sealer. You got green. That's beautiful. Reckles making money, babies. It doesn't surprise me. That's the way to go. Andy Fung, hello, my friend. Hefe, what's up, baby? How you living? We got Jake here. We got fake Pookie here. You know it's not Pookie. But it's okay. We all want to be Pookie. But unfortunately, we cannot. That we cannot. All right, I love this. We got green. You guys are doing well today. I love it. DWAC moved. I got to take a look at that. I didn't even see that. Wow, you weren't lying. So I'm assuming pro Trump move, positive Trump move. There's Patrick for you, Mr. PP, setting it up and laying it down for you. Got that ZOM spread. I know. I saw one ZOM trade she took that was like up 200% or something crazy. It's me again, Margaret. There you go. All right, let's get into it. A couple scout plays while driving. That's fantastic. If you're trading on the road, just be safe, but do you at the same time. All right, so we're at a pretty pivotal point with the SPY right now. We talked about the move up yesterday that we anticipated that we were going to see some bullish momentum. That was the idea, and that's exactly what we got. Let's shrink that down. We don't care enough about that for that to be huge. So we can get full screen chart. So we talked about that move right at open. We're going to go into the 15-minute just to get a closer view of exactly what transpired. Here we've got our intraday right here. That's what matters. This is where you need to keep your eyes focused, keep your eyes peeled. This is the price action we're looking at. So what do we have today? Again, we had the pre-market dump, and then we had a strong open, which again, a member asked me a very interesting question. Gator, shout out to Gator if he's here. Are we taking pre-market into consideration? I mean, yes, we always have to, but rather than focus on what happens in pre-market, focus on what the result of that is, which is how it opens, right? The opening price. That's what actually matters to us. We don't really care if it ripped in pre-market, dumped in pre-market. We care where it opened. And when it opens somewhere that we hadn't anticipated, that creates a new opportunity to take a different style of trade. And it means that we were either underprepared or it's one of the two or three outcomes that we had kind of anticipated. So in this case, this was a weird combination. But if you look at simply at the open, this was option 3, a strong open, a push against resistance. This was your opportunity to make money here. Right off resistance, we talked about buying those puts right when it hit that 394 mark. That was the money trade. That was the big trade of the day, in my opinion. And as you can see, in less than in 45 minutes, it sold off $4, which would have yielded you a fat return on that trade. Did anybody take those puts? If so, drop it in the chat. Just type yes. Type yes, I did. Yes, I did. And gloat. I want you to gloat, brag, boast to everyone that you paid attention and that you took that trade and you made stupid money. I guess nobody took it, which then leads me to question why the hell are you even listening to me? So anyway, push against that resistance, and then we sold off. We came down to about a stable support, 392.39, and then we're pushing up against that same resistance again. So what does that mean for tomorrow? That's the question everyone's wondering. That's the question on all of our minds. I think that we need to be very careful with tomorrow. I could see this opening a little bit strong and then coming back down to trend support, which would be good. And it would mean continued uptrend. But if we go back, if we look at this from a macro perspective, see you later. If we look at this from a macro perspective, we would be above our range 4 support, which is okay. We just need to be very aware of that we're in uncharted territory, which means also that we should probably map out our next range, which we're going to do right now. So let's figure out where range 5 is going to be and how we're going to trade it. I like it, and I can live with it. 403. Oh, it's below range. No, yeah, 403. So this is where we're at right now. We have, well, if you look at it on the weekly, that's not an uptrend. That's nonsense. I would say that if we're looking at it on the weekly, what matters to us here is that we see resistance more than we see support. I would argue that's a stronger indication, true sentiment of what's going on than anything else. We have resistance rather than support. So didn't catch stream in time. Danny Howard, we posted it in the Discord. If you're not in the Discord, make sure you join it. This discord.gg/pennyboys. I posted the link there so everyone had access to it. I made sure to push it right away live. And then we posted the recording immediately after, unedited, obviously. But I wanted to make sure you guys could get that as soon as possible. There's a link right there if you need it. So basically, we're in a new channel that I do not like. I do not like at all. This is looking much more dead cat bounce than anything else. And because we had such strong bullish momentum on Friday, I'm assuming that the options market's foaming at the mouth for upside, and that would be that would be a very beneficial trade, because I would argue that premiums are slightly deflated, given that most people have been looking at long-term recession incoming, which is possible, right? Don't write that off, because it's definitely still on the table, and I would argue that it would take 3 to 12 months to move through that. Which is a large range. I would say I would aim closer for the end of that range, which is more like 8, 9, 10 months. So we sold off and we lost our trend, right? We had trend here, we lost it. What does that mean? That means that we had a trend that we could follow to the upside, that it fell through and broke support, meaning it was no longer held above that price. That's all. For those of you that are new, support, resistance, that's all we're going to talk about. That's all you need to know. Anything other than that, it's nonsense, and you don't need to worry or concern yourself with that. And to be honest, it's not going to really drastically improve your trading any more so than just simply being more disciplined and understanding support and resistance well. Trading is simple. People make it complicated. I'm trying to be the voice of reason to show you how simple it can be, so you can follow these simple techniques, make some money, and change your life. That's the goal here. So in my opinion, we had a simple support. We broke it. We lost it. It's gone. It's now resistance, right? Which puts us in an interesting and precarious situation, wherein you look at this short term on the daily, right? You got to remember that this is why we want to zoom back and look at the whole picture, especially on a weekly basis when we're taking these swing trades, because at the end of the day, these pictures can look totally different. And the longer term picture is the most accurate. It is the clearest indication of what to do going forward. So short term, you look like, okay, it's picking up some bullish momentum. It's not bad. It looks decent. Let's see how high buyers are willing to go with this. And it looks like we're basically going to push up against that price rather soon. And remember, with drawing trend lines, you just want to find tops and touches, right? You want this to find points of confluence. The more candles you draw across, the more accurate that line is likely to be, but it's never set in stone. So On the daily, it looks like we're pushing up against resistance after the last bounce, but on the weekly, same thing. However, it looks even weaker after this bearish engulfing occurred where price went from basically 406 down to 382. That's a big move. As you can see, it's wiped its gains quite a few times. We got 1, 2, 3. If you combine these, right? Look at this is 2-week period. 1, 2, 3 times, 4 times that's happened where SPY has tried to push up above 400 and immediately is pushed back down. So that's important to know because that means that that's a pretty statistically significant resistance that you have to keep an eye out for. So as you look at this overall, right, what do you see? You see descending resistance. Buyers can't push above this price. When they do, we're playing a different game at that point. So let's anticipate these two situations as they're most likely blessing. And the last thing, RSI, look at that. Remember we talked about this 9-day needs to sit atop the 14-day. That means we have strong momentum for continuation. Notice that it broke below on this big sell-off, and it is not yet above that 14-day. Do we still have room to go on the RSI? Absolutely. We absolutely do. If you look at this as trend line, it also shows you that we're pushing against resistance on RSI. So tomorrow is kind of a make or break day, in my opinion. If it rips up bullish and can sustain its gains, I think we're going to see 403 plus and eventually head back up into this resistance right here, which could put us up to our test of about $430 on the SPY in a couple of weeks / months, which is important. So quick check-in. Are you following along? If so, just type yes in the chat. If you're not, type no. Just need a yes or a no. I want to see, there's 41 of you watching. I want to see 41 yeses or nos. And after you type that, make sure you like the video. Because the other day, I'm not going to lie, there's 60 of you and like 20 were saying, hey, I'm going to tell YouTube I like this. That helps us greatly. So please help us. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, good. So you guys are following along. Gator, I hope that answered your question that you DM'd me about. As we talked about the pre-market / looking at the opening price rather than what happened in pre-market. Okay, cool. So you guys are dialed in. Please make sure you like the video and hey, hit that notification bell so that way whenever we go live, it pings you on YouTube so you will never miss a thing. That way, if you're not looking at your phone, you're not looking at Discord, you will get the notification. You will not miss a stream, which means that you will be better off in your trading because you will have information before everyone else. I love that whistle. So tomorrow is our make or break, in my opinion. If we rip up, then we rip up, and we're going to keep on moving. And at which point I'm going to look at a swing trade targeting $403 strike. I would like to have no less than 30 days expiration on that because we have to be careful because this can easily turn into a bull trap and rip us down to nothingness. So what I want to see tomorrow at open is I want to see a strong open. I want to see a gap up. Ideally, when this closes, if it doesn't close above this 394 and change, I want to see it open above that price, and I want to see a support test. When I see that support test and bounce, I think that is the opportunity to buy some calls targeting 402, 403 strike. I want minimum 3 weeks, ideally a month of expiration time on that. And I think that that's a trade that we can hold and ride until we see hopefully a move like we did back in the beginning of March. As you can see here, it ripped up from 392. Was I 397, then pushed up intraday, and over 3 days, the SPY climbed from 390 to 405, $15 move. You guys should see a nice 100% ROI on that trade. I would suggest that taking profits at 30% plus. So if you're buying more than one contract, you sell them incrementally. Don't just sit there and hold it and hope and get beat. So I think that our most likely outcome tomorrow is hope. My hope, well, the outcome I'd like to see, not hopeful, but the outcome I'd like to see tomorrow is an open over 394. If we see that, we want to watch and see a support test, right? So I'm going to draw this out for you guys. So we want to see it open up here, comes up a little bit. I want to see a support test. And then we'll probably see continued upward consolidation for the rest of the day. If that happens. If that does not happen, we could open. So that's scenario one. That's the one I'd like to see. I'm not saying it's most likely, it's just the one I'd like to see. Is that we open around where we are now, we butt our heads against resistance, and we come back down. That's scenario two. At which point, I think 390 puts will pay handsomely. It's a $3 move. It's not as glorious and glamorous as a $10 plus move, but it will pay to trade that one. So those are our two options. I wanted to keep this very simple. We want to see it open above and test 394 as support. If so, I think a swing position in calls would be smart, but I want to really, really, really drive this home. I would really, really suggest hedging that position overnight every night, because if it sells off or there is a macro market event that destroys the market the next day, you're not getting killed. Meaning, if you're in 403 calls, you are going to go to that same expiration date and you're going to click sell the strike directly above the one you chose. So if you chose 403 and there's a 404 strike, sell the 404. Hedge the whole position, which means you're basically paying yourself back. You're capping your gains. But if it opens down 30%, you're not going to lose. And even more so, what's even cooler is that if it gets destroyed for a while and finds support, you can close that short, make money there, and then if the long, again, since we have over a month of expiration, if SPY rips for another 2 days, you then made money on the way back up too. Does that make sense? If you could type yes or no on as far as the strategy for that in terms of selling the short. Does that just type a yes or a no? Again, there's like 50 of you here, 40 of you here. We should see 40 yeses or nos. So I want to know if that makes sense to you guys. Do you understand that? What it means to open a vertical debit spread. You're selling the strike directly above the strike you own. So you are long and short. Does that make sense? Drop a yes or a no. Drop a yes or a no. Also, do you guys, how long did I tell my wife before I'd be at Target? Did I say 30 minutes before I had to meet her at the store? Does anybody remember? Is that what I said? I think I said 30 minutes, right? Does anybody remember? Did I say 30 minutes? Come on, guys. You guys are supposed to be my eyes and ears. Thank you. Okay. It was 30 minutes. Bada bing, bada boom. So we got 5 minutes left. To quickly, hey, get out of here, man. Get out of here with this. 42. Come on now. Yeah, I will be there. Okay. So that's how we're going to play the SPY. I think that's the smartest move here. I think that's the greatest opportunity for profit as well as managing risk are those two options. Again, open and test support. We're opening above this line and testing support. We are going to basically open here. We're going to jostle around. We're going to find support. We're going to buy off support. And I think this will continue upward and we'll get some downward momentum and then up and then probably down and then up and then boom, 403. Or it could happen in 2 days because the SPY has chosen to absolutely rip through this zone, and that's our huge opportunity here. Again, as we talked about, huge sell-off here back on the 9th, which means it can rip through on the upside through this area just as easily as it did on the downside. So I'm hoping we see that. But as you can see in after hours, like I told you, we're already selling back off. We're hitting this resistance and coming down. If we open somewhere around 392, I would say that's your second opportunity for calls if we can hold above 392.85. So mark those down in your chart. Supports that we need to see for calls are above 392.79, but below 394. We're buying at 392 if we open below 394. If it breaks below that, it is done. It is done. No, Derek, you do not. You do not want to do this. You do not want to do this at all. Because you are out of pocket on both. Basically, when you go short, it means you're getting paid to sell the contract to someone else. So it literally puts the capital back in your pocket and entirely mitigates your risk. Whereas when you're buying long on a contract, you're going to get beaten both ways on the theta. And if it trades sideways, you lose on both. Whereas when you're short, trading sideways doesn't kill you because that as the option. So basically, if the option you're long on decreases in value, the option that you sold that will also decrease in value relative to the price difference. So basically, it's the only way to actually protect yourself. Buying puts just exposes you on two sides, whereas selling the short limits your exposure on the side you did buy. It's kind of like buying insurance. Selling insurance, sorry. So you don't want to do that. So yes, he is right. So this strategy would probably not work for a cash account. So what I would do if I were you is I would probably just trade them intraday. Are you in the Discord, my friend, Mr. Derek Phillips? If you're in the Discord, message me, Big Quench, and I'll help you with this so we get it squared away. Okay, cool. Yeah, shoot me a message, and I'll help you with that. But I would suggest opening a margin account as well, just so you can open these spreads. It's a great way to mitigate risk. Cash counts are great though too because you have unlimited day trade. So if you want to day trade this, we're looking for that hard open above 394, and I would just day trade that with a hard stop if it breaks below 394. Then you're just out. Be done. But if it rips, you'll have a nice day trade. You should make 20-30% minimum. If it rips in a crazy fashion, then even more. But those are our two outcomes or two options. So semiconductors are ripping right now. I was looking at my screener, and it looks like the semiconductor index is about to take off, which is this SOXL. So what does this mean? That's all your chip makers, that's all your silicon guys, right? So like that's your NVDAs, your AMDs, et cetera, et cetera. So we have a really strong trend here, in my opinion. I mean, especially over the past couple of weeks. And I think that if we map this out long term, we're seeing that confluence there, which is very good, which means trend descended a little bit here and lost a little bit of strength, but it picked right back up here. So this is like the inflection point where this lower trend is eliminated and it resumed this higher and stronger trend. And what I think is likely to happen here. Now, I'm not saying go trade this 3 times leverage ETF. I'm just saying we need to be mindful of this. I'd love to see 19 bucks. And that means that if this whole index is moving 19 bucks, so that means that NVIDIA and AMD are moving with it. So NVIDIA has shown a lot of strength. And dude, when this thing breaks out, it likes to go. So we talked about that move from 213 to 283. I think that might be on the horizon here. And look at last time, move from 219 to all the way to 346. Just that absolute blast off because this is a low float. So when buyers start buying, they really start buying. So again, we've already got our long position here. This wedge broke out perfectly. You want to be very careful with this. You're up a couple 100%, so play it safe. I do not suggest buying anything new here. I do not think that's a good idea. I think I would wait until we resume this trend line here. I'd love to see around 250, 260. That would be another point to scale into some calls. So just add that to your watch list and really keep a close eye on it. My second target for those of you in the long-term option is about 280, 282. I think that's realistic if it continues to rip at this pace. I would love to see it come down a little bit because I'm a little behind on the short that I had open, which kind of sucks. But I also wanted to make sure that I was managing risk. So those are the two I wanted to talk about. I just wanted to quickly go through that. I hope it helped you. I love y'all. Stay blessed now. Bye-bye.